Yeah, go ahead.
That footage you just saw was captured minutes before the helicopter crash that killed Kobe Bryant, his 13-year-old daughter Gianna, and 7 others. It was a tragedy that shook the world, a sudden, devastating loss of a global icon and a loving father. But here's what most people don't realize. Hidden in that footage is something no one noticed until now. And once you see it, it might change everything you thought you knew about that day. Let's get into it. The final flight that changed basketball forever. On January 26, 2020, the world stood still as news broke that basketball legend Kobe Bryant had died in a helicopter crash. What many don't know is that someone actually captured footage of Bryant's helicopter circling in fog just minutes before the fatal crash. An ex-user at Their Only Dreams, who regularly films unusual aerial activity above his Glendale, California home, recorded a helicopter performing unusual maneuvers in foggy conditions that fateful morning. The user later posted, "I try and photograph all the weird stuff happening above my house in Glendale, California. Unfortunately, this morning, I didn't realize I was filming the helicopter Kobe Bryant, his daughter, and others were in 31 minutes before they crashed. RIP. This timing places the recording at approximately 9:16 a.m., providing a rare glimpse into what would become one of the most tragic moments in sports history.
Yeah, go ahead.
The significance of this video is immense. It serves as a crucial piece of evidence that helps illustrate the challenging conditions the helicopter was navigating. The footage depicts the foggy environment that would later be identified by the National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, as a key factor in the crash. The helicopter's unusual circling pattern captured in the video perfectly aligns with flight records, showing the aircraft waiting for clearance due to poor visibility. The video shows the helicopter making what observers described as aggressive circling maneuvers in conditions that were clearly challenging for flight. The helicopter caught the witnesses' attention because it was unusual to see such a large aircraft flying so low and performing such maneuvers, an observation that would prove pivotal in understanding the sequence of events that followed. What makes this video even more poignant is that it captures the helicopter during a critical decision-making period. Flight records confirm that the helicopter began circling over Glendale at 9:30 a.m. and continued until 9:42 a.m., awaiting clearance from air traffic control due to the foggy conditions. These precious minutes, caught on camera, showed the pilot attempting to navigate through weather that was already challenging enough to ground police helicopters that day. The ill-fated journey started earlier that morning. The Sikorsky S-76B helicopter with registration N72EX departed from John Wayne Airport in Orange County at 9:06 a.m. PST. It was carrying 9 people: Kobe Bryant, his 13-year-old daughter Gianna, baseball coach John Altobelli, his wife Carrie, and their daughter Alyssa, Sarah Chester and her daughter Peyton, basketball coach Christina Mauser, and the pilot Ara Zobayan. They were headed to a youth basketball game at Bryant's Mamba Sports Academy in Thousand Oaks, California. The day had started normally enough. Before boarding the helicopter, Kobe and Gianna had attended an early morning church service where they took communion. This small detail, revealed later, adds another layer of poignancy to the day's events. No one could have predicted that within hours, a routine helicopter flight would end in tragedy. The morning's weather conditions were challenging from the start. Visibility was reported at just 4 miles with mist and an overcast ceiling at 1,000 feet above ground level. As the helicopter continued northwest, it had to hold over Glendale for about 12 minutes due to air traffic at nearby Burbank Airport. It's during this holding pattern that At Their Only Dreams captured his now famous footage. The helicopter initially climbed to around 1,000 feet mean sea level, MSL, then descended to maintain 600 feet above ground level, AGL, over rising terrain, with a ground speed of 150 knots. The flight path deviated from prior routes, continuing northwest along Interstate 5. At approximately 9:20 a.m., it held over Glendale for about 12 minutes due to air traffic at Burbank Airport. At 9:32 a.m., the pilot received Special Visual Flight Rules, SVFR clearance, to follow Interstate 5 through Burbank airspace, maintaining altitudes between 900 and 1,100 feet missile. This special clearance allowed the helicopter to proceed under visual flight rules in weather conditions that would normally require instrument flight rules, a critical decision point in the flight. The pilot, Ara Zobayan, was experienced and well qualified. He had over 8,200 hours of flight time, including 1,250 hours in the Sikorsky S-76 helicopter. He was certified to fly using instruments and had the training to navigate through fog. Yet, as the NTSB would later conclude, his decision to continue the flight into deteriorating weather conditions would prove fatal. At 9:35 a.m., the pilot contacted Van Nuys VNY Air Traffic Control, reporting at 1,400 feet MSL and requesting SVFR transition. Weather conditions at Van Nuys mirrored those at Burbank, 2.5 miles visibility, overcast at 1,100 feet AGIL. By 9:40 a.m., the helicopter had transitioned to an area with even more challenging visibility. The pilot contacted Southern California Terminal Radar Approach Control, TRACON, reporting that he was transitioning in VFR conditions at 1,500 feet MSL and planning to fly at a low altitude to Camarillo Airport. However, the controller advised that the altitude was too low for flight following, and the pilot was instructed to squawk VFR 1200, expecting loss of radar contact. At 9:42 a.m., the helicopter reached U.S. Route 101 and followed it west toward Camarillo Airport at about 1,420 feet MSL, approximately 550 feet above ground level, with a ground speed of 140 knots. Witnesses on the ground reported fog and overcast conditions, with the helicopter flying below or at the cloud line. The video captured earlier by At Their Only Dreams had presaged the challenging conditions that the flight would continue to encounter. What happened next was a series of critical decisions and maneuvers that would ultimately lead to disaster. At 9:44 a.m., just 2 minutes after reaching U.S. Route 101, a witness saw the helicopter disappear into heavy clouds, described as a thick wall. At 9 hours 44 minutes and 34 seconds a.m., the pilot announced a climb to get above the cloud layers, beginning to ascend at 1,500 feet per minute and initiating a gradual left turn at 1,370 feet MSL, 450 feet AGIL. By 9 hours 45 minutes and 10 seconds a.m., the helicopter began a tighter left turn, diverging from U.S. Route 101 and reached a maximum altitude of 2,370 feet MSL, 1,600 feet AGL. However, at 9 hours 45 minutes and 15 seconds a.m., it started a rapid descent in the left turn. At 9 hours 45 minutes and 17 seconds a.m., the controller asked for the pilot's intentions, and the pilot replied he was climbing to 4,000 feet MSL, but no further communications were received. Witnesses saw the helicopter emerge from the clouds in a left bank descent just 1 or 2 seconds before impact. The crash occurred at 9 hours 45 minutes and 19 seconds a.m. near the intersection of Las Virgenes Road and Willow Glen Street in Calabasas, California, at an elevation of approximately 1,100 feet MSL. The last ADS-B data point was recorded at 1,295 feet MSL, with a descent rate of more than 4,000 feet per minute and a ground speed of 160 knots, about 180 miles per hour. The impact caused a quarter-acre bushfire, with the first 911 call reporting the crash coming in at 9:47 a.m. The Los Angeles County Fire Department responded quickly and extinguished the fire by 10:30 a.m., but it was already too late for all 9 occupants of the helicopter. According to autopsies released by the Los Angeles County Coroner's Office, all 9 died instantly from blunt force trauma. The reports described severe injuries, including broken bones and dismembered body parts, with Kobe Bryant identified by fingerprints due to the extent of the damage. The pilot, Bryant, had no alcohol or drugs in his system, ruling out substance influence as a factor. The tragedy of this crash was compounded by its preventability. The NTSB conducted a thorough investigation, publishing its findings in an 86-page report on February 9, 2021. The board concluded that the probable cause was the pilot's decision to continue VFR flight into instrument meteorological conditions, IMC, leading to spatial disorientation and loss of control. Contributing factors included self-induced pressure, lack of an alternative plan, and planned continuation bias, with Island Express's inadequate safety management processes also noted. The investigation found no mechanical issues with the helicopter as per the NPR article, and no evidence of external pressure or pilot qualification deficiencies. However, the absence of a terrain awareness and warning system, TAWS, was highlighted, with the NTSB renewing calls for mandatory installation, especially given the FAA's requirement for air ambulances but not for other helicopters. This recommendation was part of a broader push for enhanced safety measures in helicopter operations. In the aftermath of the crash, many wondered about Kobe Bryant's own thoughts on mortality and risk. Interestingly, in a 2016 interview with The Ringer, Bryant had spoken about his relationship with death.
What's your relationship with death?
A comfortable one.
Yeah?
It's a comfortable one. It's an understanding. Can't have life without death, can't have life without the dark. Right? So it's an acceptance of that. When it came time to decide whether or not I should retire, that's really an acceptance of that mortality that all athletes face. Right? And if you combat it, you'll have always that inner struggle within yourself, you know what I mean? And so I'm comfortable with it.
These words, spoken years before the tragic accident, take on a haunting quality in retrospect. Bryant had accepted mortality as part of life, but no one could have predicted the circumstances of his untimely death. His last known interview, just days before the crash, takes on a haunting quality when he discussed being mentored by people who aren't alive, saying their stories still live.
You're so right. I think
you can be mentored by people who aren't alive.
100%, because their stories still live, which brings us to the importance of storytelling.
Yeah.
Their stories still live. These muses are here. It's important to learn from them.
Since Kobe Bryant's passing, those reflective words have echoed far beyond their original meaning, bringing comfort to some, while to others, they've stirred a wave of unsettling theories. When tragedy sparks controversial theories. In the wake of Kobe Bryant's shocking death, a wave of controversy and conspiracy theories emerged across social media platforms, reflecting both the public's struggle to process the tragedy and broader societal tendencies towards speculation. These controversies range from debates about Bryant's legacy to outright conspiracy theories about the circumstances of the crash, creating a complex landscape of public discourse that continues years after the accident. One of the most persistent controversies involves allegations about pharmaceutical companies. On X, formerly Twitter, users like at SquirtleSwag512 have posted theories questioning whether Bryant's death was really an accident or a big pharma cover-up. Similarly, user at Into Thin Air shared in February 2025, was Kobe Bryant killed by Big Pharma? Did you know that Kobe Bryant died 3 days before his court date, where he was suing pharmaceutical companies over having opioid-laced energy pills? These claims have been thoroughly debunked by fact-checkers. PolitiFact clarified that Bryant was indeed involved in a lawsuit with high-tech pharmaceuticals, but it was over the use of his Black Mamba nickname, not opioids, and the lawsuit had been settled on January 2nd, 2020, weeks before his death. Despite this clear evidence, the pharmaceutical conspiracy narrative persists, with variations appearing regularly on social media. Reddit has been another fertile ground for conspiracy theories, particularly in communities like Our Conspiracy. In one thread titled, "Any Conspiracy Regarding Kobe Bryant's Death," users shared a range of speculative claims. One commenter, Deep Restaurant, mentioned Bishop Larry Gator's take on Kobe's death, involving a lawsuit with a pharmaceutical group. Another user, Sensitive Yogurt 842, claimed the death was a hoax, citing numerology 3313, Kobe's jersey numbers, helicopter registration numbers. The numerology theories emerged in various forms, with user Hybridy noting that Kobe was the third NBA player to score 33,000 points and emphasizing other statistics related to the number 33. This type of pattern-seeking behavior is common in the aftermath of high-profile tragedies, as people attempt to find meaning or order in seemingly random events. Other Reddit users took the conspiracy theories in different directions. Flightman23 claimed LeBron James knew Kobe would die, noting that he passed him in points the night before and allegedly used past tense when referring to Bryant. Meanwhile, Patreonly fans alleged that Kobe was involved in the Terramar project with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell without providing any evidence. Some Reddit users went even further, with Nymphetamine Girl 0823 claiming Kobe was an Illuminati sacrifice for someone greater, mentioning connections to the film Space Jam. Others, like the Truth Set U attempted to draw connections between Kobe and COVID-19, noting that when translating COVID to Hebrew and back to English via Google Translate, it allegedly yields Kobe, a claim that reflects the pattern-seeking behavior common in conspiracy communities. The controversy extended beyond conspiracy theories to debates about Bryant's legacy. The 2003 sexual assault allegation against Bryant resurfaced in discussions about how to remember him, creating tensions between celebrating his achievements and acknowledging past allegations. This controversy played out in media coverage and on social media, with some figures like actor Evan Rachel Wood stating on X that Bryant was both a sports hero and a rapist, sparking heated debate. The case had ended when the accuser declined to testify, with Bryant later settling a civil suit privately. The controversy centered on whether these allegations should be acknowledged in tributes to Bryant after his death. This debate highlighted broader societal tensions about how to remember public figures with complex legacies, particularly in the immediate aftermath of tragedy. Media reporting itself became a source of controversy. TMZ broke the news of Bryant's death before families had been officially notified, drawing criticism from Los Angeles County Sheriff Alex Villanueva, who called it wholly inappropriate. Other outlets made serious errors, with ABC News' Matt Gutman incorrectly reporting that all 4 of Bryant's children had died, which was later corrected and led to his suspension. The Washington Post faced its own controversy when reporter Felicia Sonmez posted a link to an article about Bryant's sexual assault case shortly after news of his death broke, leading to her temporary suspension. These incidents fueled debates about media ethics, the timing of sensitive reporting, and the balance between honoring the dead and acknowledging complex truths. Another controversy emerged involving pilot Ara Zobayan's decisions and possible pressures. The NTSB investigation noted self-induced pressure as a contributing factor in the crash, raising questions about whether Zobayan felt compelled to complete the flight for Bryant despite adverse conditions. This led to speculation about the influence of Bryant's celebrity status on the pilot's decision-making, though the NTSB did not conclusively prove prove this connection. The controversy around the pilot's decisions extended to the helicopter company, Island Express Helicopters. Questions arose about whether the company's policies and culture may have contributed to the tragedy, with the NTSB noting inadequate safety management processes as a factor. This sparked broader industry discussions about safety standards, especially for flights carrying high-profile clients. Some conspiracy theories focused on the helicopter itself. Reddit user Cyberpunk909 shared a rumor that Nike had provided the helicopter and may have caused the crash because Bryant was starting his own sneaker company. Similarly, Yellow Dicked Toad mentioned a rumor that Kobe was negotiating his own shoe line, making Nike unhappy. These claims lack evidence and reflect the tendency to ascribe malicious intent to corporations in the wake of tragedies involving celebrities. Perhaps the most disturbing conspiracy theories involve child trafficking. Ex-user at CherylB94896931 speculated that Kobe knew about the missing children, Diddy and Hollywood, and was getting ready to spill the beans. Meanwhile, user at FitPatriotTuza8 added, he was also involved with child trafficking, so hold your opinions until the truth is revealed. These baseless claims reflect a broader pattern of conspiracy theories, linking celebrities to child trafficking rings, often without any supporting evidence. The persistence of these controversies and conspiracy theories reflects broader societal trends, including skepticism toward institutions and the spread of misinformation. Fans' emotional connection to Bryant, combined with the shock of his sudden death, likely contributes to the proliferation of theories. On X, high view counts, for example at Into Thin Air's post with 1.99 million views, indicate significant reach, while Reddit's upvote system shows community validation of certain narratives. The discussions also reveal attempts at correction, such as X-user at Team America 2020's clarification that Bryant Cole was suing over the name Black Mamba being used, suggesting a subset of fans seeking factual accuracy. However, the dominance of speculative theories underscores the challenge of combating misinformation in fan communities, especially on sensitive topics like celebrity deaths. As time passes, some of these controversies may fade, but they remain an important part of understanding how the public processes and makes sense of unexpected celebrity deaths. Amid the swirl of facts and fiction, one truth remains. When a figure as iconic as Kobe Bryant leaves the world, the impact goes far beyond headlines. It reshapes how fans experience life, loss, and legacy. Life changes when legends leave Earth. The crash that claimed the lives of Kobe Bryant, his daughter Gianna, and 7 others sent shockwaves around the world, setting in motion a series of events that would shape not just basketball, but broader cultural and legal landscapes. From immediate tributes to lasting memorials, from legal battles to legislative changes, the aftermath of the tragedy reveals how deeply Bryant had impacted society and how his death continued to influence various spheres long after the crash. News of the tragedy broke rapidly, with TMZ reporting first, a decision that drew criticism for outpacing official notifications to the families. Los Angeles County Sheriff Alex Villanueva called TMZ's early reporting wholly inappropriate, as it meant some family members learned about the deaths of their loved ones through social media rather than official channels. This controversy sparked discussions about media ethics and the responsibilities of news outlets when reporting on tragedies. The immediacy of the news in our digital age created a situation where millions of people were processing grief simultaneously. The NBA's response was swift and emotional, with the league postponing the Los Angeles Lakers' scheduled game against the Los Angeles Clippers on January 28, 2020, marking the first such postponement since the 2013 Boston Marathon bombing. Players across the league paid tribute in various ways, from writing messages on their shoes to taking 24-second shot clock violations or 8-second backcourt violations in honor of Bryant's jersey numbers. Fans gathered outside the Staples Center, creating makeshift memorials with flowers, candles, and Bryant memorabilia. Many spoke of how Bryant had sparked their love for basketball and the NBA. The arena, where Bryant had played countless games during his 20-year career with the Lakers, became a focal point for public mourning. When the Lakers played their first game after the crash on January 31, 2020, the tributes were especially poignant. In an emotional ceremony, all players were introduced as Kobe Bryant, and LeBron James delivered a heartfelt speech vowing to continue Bryant's legacy. This moment encapsulated the deep impact Bryant had had on his teammates, the franchise, and the league as a whole. A public memorial service titled A Celebration of Life was held on February 24, 2020 at the Staples Center. The date, February 24, 20, was symbolically chosen to represent Gianna's jersey number 2, Bryant's jersey number 24, and the 20 years Bryant played for the Lakers. Over 20,000 people attended the service, with proceeds benefiting the Mamba and Mambacita Sports Foundation. The service featured moving speeches from Vanessa Bryant, Michael Jordan, and Shaquille O'Neal, among others, as well as performances by Beyonce and Alicia Keys. The New York Times provided full coverage of the tributes, capturing the emotional intensity of the event. Vanessa Bryant's eulogy was particularly heart-wrenching as she spoke about her husband and daughter.
My boo-boo, my baby, my papi chulo. I was his VB, his principesa, his reina, his queen mama, mamba, and his Biski, Maniski, Fabuliski. I couldn't see him as a celebrity, nor just an incredible basketball player. He was my sweet husband and the beautiful father of our children. He was mine. He was my everything. Kobe and I have been together since I was 17 and a half years old.
Beyond the emotional tributes, the crash also sparked legal actions and policy changes. On February 24, 2020, Vanessa Bryant filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Island Express, the helicopter company, and the estate of pilot Ara Zobayan. The lawsuit alleged negligence in operating the helicopter in challenging weather conditions. This lawsuit was settled confidentially in November 2021, ensuring accountability without public disclosure of terms. A separate controversy arose when it was discovered that Los Angeles County deputies and firefighters had shared photos of the crash site. This led to another lawsuit from Vanessa Bryant in September 2020, alleging invasion of privacy. After a jury awarded her $16 million in August 2022, later adjusted to $15 million due to a clerical error. A final settlement of $28.5 million was reached in February 2023. This settlement resolved claims for Bryant's surviving daughters and related state court issues, underscoring the legal system's response to privacy violations. The photo sharing scandal also prompted legislative action. In September 2020, California, Governor Gavin Newsom signed the Kobe Bryant Act, making it illegal for first responders to share photos of deceased persons at crime scenes for non-official purposes. This law was a direct response to the privacy violations that had compounded the tragedy for the victims' families and demonstrated how Bryant's death had influenced public policy. The NTSB's investigation into the crash was also a major focus in the aftermath. The final report, released on February 9, 2021, not only identified the causes of the crash, but also recommended significant safety improvements for helicopter operations, including enhanced pilot training for spatial disorientation and mandatory installation of terrain awareness and warning systems. These recommendations aimed to prevent similar tragedies in the future and reflected the broader impact of the crash on aviation safety standards. In the years since the crash, Bryant's legacy has continued to grow. Statues honoring him were unveiled outside Crypto.com Arena, formerly Staples Center, on February 8, 2024, followed by a second statue depicting Kobe and Gianna on August 2, 2024. These physical memorials serve as permanent reminders of Bryant's impact on basketball and his special bond with his daughter. The Mamba and Mambacita Sports Foundation, led by Vanessa Bryant, continues to support underserved athletes and has expanded its efforts to include disaster relief. Recent reports note that the foundation distributed aid during wildfires in early 2025, demonstrating its ongoing commitment to community service. This foundation represents one of the most tangible aspects of Bryant's legacy, continuing his work to support young athletes and communities in need. Bryant's influence persists in basketball, with players like LeBron James vowing to carry forward his Mamba mentality. Annual tributes mark anniversaries of his death, such as the 5th anniversary in January 2025, where social media was filled with memories. The Lakers and NBA continue to honor him through game day tributes and jersey retirements, ensuring his impact on the sport remains visible to new generations of fans. The aftermath of Bryant's death also prompted broader reflections on mortality and the fragility of life. In the days following the crash, many commentators noted an increased awareness of life's uncertainty and the importance of expressing love and appreciation for those around us. As one commentator noted on Today after Bryant's death,
I do think the one thing, if there's any good that comes out of this, is that I think the expressions of gratitude and about love and about the fragility of life and expressing to those who are in your circle how you feel about them, what they mean to you. I personally saw an uptick in that, and I think others have been seeing that.
Another commentator added that the shock of Bryant's death forced many people to pause and reflect.
I think there's always something to be learned from the event that shocks you out of your normal everyday. And this clearly, for so many people in this country, shocked them out of their normal day. And they said, wait a minute, I need to reflect.
For many fans, the crash was especially heartbreaking because it involved not just Kobe, but also his 13-year-old daughter, Gianna. The father-daughter relationship had been highlighted in numerous public appearances, with Bryant often speaking proudly of Gianna's basketball skills and potential. She was widely seen as carrying forward her father's legacy in women's basketball, making the loss all the more poignant. Videos of Kobe with his youngest daughter, Bianca, just months before the crash took on new significance after the tragedy, showing the basketball star in his role as a loving loving, playful father. These glimpses into Bryant's family life humanized the sports icon and underscored the personal tragedy behind the headlines. Even today, more than 5 years after the crash, social media posts about Kobe and Gianna continue to garner significant engagement, reflecting their enduring impact on public consciousness. The video captured by At Theron Lee Dreams remains a sobering reminder of how quickly life can change and has become an important historical document in understanding the sequence of events that led to the tragedy. The NTSB's findings and recommendations following the crash have led to ongoing discussions about helicopter safety, particularly for flights carrying high-profile clients. While the FAA has not yet mandated terrain awareness and warning systems for all helicopters, the crash has raised awareness about the importance of these safety features and the dangers of continuing flights in deteriorating weather conditions. Beyond the legal, legislative, and safety impacts, perhaps the most profound legacy of the crash is the way it has influenced how people think about life, death, and legacy. Bryant had spoken in his 2016 interview about having a comfortable relationship with death, viewing it as an inseparable part of life. This philosophical perspective, combined with his achievements on and off the court, continues to inspire discussions about how to live meaningfully and leave a positive impact. Thanks for watching. If you had a good time, keep the adventure alive by clicking on one of the suggested videos on your screen right now for more amazing content.